LAPD is group stalking. This is impulsive light activity that's on the wall in my bedroom. I'll show you pictures of that. This is the moon that is over building 1818 where the sun is setting in the evening. That is LAPD, that is group stalking in helicopter. And at this distance, I can hear it while I'm in my bed sleeping. Okay, that's called amplification. That's how the demon-possessed target, okay? Amplification is demonic. All right, it is also demonic to be in the environment. The sun setting and the moon at night is not going to be in the same location. This is the pattern of conduct. And this is engineered light that covers the wall space. Let me quote a couple things to you. It's 5:42 in the morning. This is impossible light, which I'm going to take still images of for you to see. The people of the state are group stalking. The people of the state are sex offenders. The people of the state are the demon-possessed population that are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And that is all that surrounds. And the specific environment is what covers the LA, what you're seeing in the distance, that's engineered light. This is not the natural environment. This is revealing what is the reality of the environment and the reality of the conditions of those that are engaging in a criminal system, and it's the reality of the demon-possessed and a demonic environment. You literally saw the light source as I took video at approximately 5:37 p.m. This is the moon. This is a pattern heavily documented when I was in Ontario and Fontana, capturing images of the Fontana Police Department group stalking by helicopter, and the people of the state group stalking in the specific environment, where the entity was keeping a light source over me from beginning to the end of the day, and the entity would at nightfall, literally the light source would remain over me, for example, over the Fontana Lewis Library for the duration of the day, and as I would leave at nightfall from the library to the Fontana train station to go back to Ontario, the entity kept the moon over me at night. And this is what returned by when I was sleeping at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The moon was over the museum at nightfall over me, and the light source, supposedly the sun, was over me in the morning. This evidence is already present. This is the exact same pattern of conduct. That is the same exact demonic activity by the Los Angeles Police Department. That distance is something that I would not be able to hear, would not be able to anticipate their arrival. It's called amplification, and it's also occurring in a specific environment, which is inside of my apartment. It is the placement of engineered light. If you can't see that on video, I'm going to get it in still images as well. Engineered light fills my apartment. But I want to show you this, which I do believe you can see on video. I'm in the living room. And what you can see above is, hold on. Yeah, that's engineered light. That's on my ceiling. This is, again, I showed you this before. This is impossible light that's present. This is my hand. These are the blinds. The blinds are closed. This is engineered light that's above. This is the ceiling. This is my finger, so you can see my hand. This is my hand is going up toward the wall. This is engineered light, and the pattern of the blinds is on the ceiling. This is impossible light activity. So I'm going to come up forward. These are the blinds. That's downstairs. The ordinary lights do not create shadows on the ceiling. They do not create the pattern of whatever it is light is touching on the ceiling. That ordinary light is something that doesn't create multiple shadows on its own. It would create a shadow on the ground. And it is also nothing that's going to create any light above you. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the environment that remains 24/7. The entity is maintaining engineered light. Hold on, let me show you something. I'm going to put my hand here so you can see. Yeah, here's my shadow appearing above me. So you're looking at the ceiling. I'm going to show you my hand in the middle. I'll show you this. I'm touching the blinds. This is my hand. And you're going to see it on the ceiling. Yeah, this is creating light activity. This is the demonic environment. This is a demonic light activity, okay? It's not just impossible light activity. This is demonic. It's absolutely impossible. This is my shadow that's appearing above me on the ceiling. All right, and you have the illusion, and this is again you're probably not even paying attention to the light that's or shadows appearing above you, but this light, lamps on the ground, do not create shadows or does not create light activity above. This is in the living room. In my bedroom, the light activity, the pattern of the blinds is occurring beside the window, and right now light activity, multiple layers of the blinds, just like you saw during the day. I've shown you that. That's exactly what's happening in my bedroom right now while I'm showing you the demons that are LAPD group stalking 24/7. It is, let me be clear, 5:46 in the morning, and that's amplification of helicopter activity while they are flying in the distance. That is targeting me. Those are demons that are targeting me. They're not only targeting by the environment that you're aware of. Understand, group stalking is supposed to appear on its surface But like I said, even they're engaging in flying, it's an unreasonable disturbance. On its face, what LAPD is doing is invalid, okay? You could sue for what is an unreasonable nuisance. But the entity is engaged in group stalking. So I want to be clear, group stalking is something that they cannot secretly do. Group stalking is something that is done in your face. You cannot hide amplification. Amplification is loud, okay? You can't hide what is the sun. All right, you're just not paying attention to the fact that it's not the natural environment, it's not possibly the sun because it's remaining all day long. And you're certainly not comparing environments to what's happening while I'm in California and what they're looking at possibly in the sky space in Florida, because that's not the same. All right, people aren't paying attention, that's it. Group stalking is happening right in plain sight. Demonic activity is happening in plain sight. All right, so while the entity was flying by group stalking right now, amplification, and that is something that you know by virtue of that distance, and that's how the demon possessed are targeting someone, that amplified activity, okay? And they don't even have to be seen. They can be at a great distance, and the demon possessed are able to target with that amplified audible activity. This is the method of harassment that universal waste engages in, that those demons engage in, all right? A universal waste is the people of the state, and they're going to be civilly prosecuted for what is harassment upon terrorism while they're engaged in the sex offense and federal group stalking and monitoring, which is what that is. They're monitoring inside of the private space. They're monitoring me in the workplace while I'm in my office. The entity is engaging in group stalking by helicopter, and I want you to see the impossible light that's in my apartment. So hours from now, the entity at this same exact location is then rising the sun, and I put that in air quotes. That's not the sun, that's not sunlight that you see in the depths of my apartment. You're looking at the same pattern. Engineered light remains 24/7. This is another method of maintaining engineered light in my apartment. The entity is then aiming, and this is demonic, okay? You are witnessing the demonic as you see, again, what is beyond a coincidence, my body of evidence showing that the sun is rising on Holt Boulevard and Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California at 7:15 in the morning. It's also setting at that same intersection, but you have, while I am at facing the hillside in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, the sun that is rising. That's not the sun, not the natural environment. You're looking pursuant to a body of evidence showing a pattern of conduct of engineered light. That's engineered light and the maintenance of the light source that is in alignment to me in the morning, hours from now. You're talking about nothing other than a continuation of the same pattern of stalking with light. That's what's happening years from now. Excuse me, not years from now, moments from now, when the entity is going to be rising that light source. And the entity is engaging in the maintenance of what's supposed to be the moon. All right, and understand that that's a threat. While I document that, the demon possessed are engaged in what is targeting an individual and following with a light source during the day, and as though the moon is also over in alignment to you. Okay, and this is the pattern of conduct. It is not something that you're going to. So I want to be clear: the fact that it is over building 1818, the fact that the sun is over building 1818, no third party or state actor, group stalker, is being targeted by the state. And they are, and so it is indeed relevant to me. So I want to say, it is indeed specific to me. I want to mention something, because you can say, oh, well, the target individual, you're stating that it's in relevant position to me. It is. They're targeting me. That's why the light source is over my head in Ontario, California, directly over me. That's why you see group stalkers leave my presence. The light source doesn't remain hovering over them. The light source doesn't remain in relevant position to the window that they're on the bus, on public transportation. When I get off that bus, that light source is no longer remaining in stride with that bus. The light source is indeed remaining over me. That's targeting with an environment. This same placement of the moon, it is over Alvarado Gardens, but it is in alignment, and it's pursuant to a pattern of following with an entire environment. And by the way, it's beyond a coincidence that the sun was both rising and setting at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 225 South Euclid Avenue, where the entity was group stalking in helicopter, where the entity was engaging in what is kidnapping by an entity. All right, the entity that's a pattern. The entity was keeping the sun and I was in Fontana. I got early many times in order to document. I would be at Fontana before the 8 o'clock hour. The entity had the light source standing at the Fontana Chamber of Commerce. And as I would leave the Fontana Lewis Library at nightfall, that's both during the day and at nightfall, the moon at night over me and remaining even back en route to Ontario, that moon would remain in alignment. It is very specific. The entity is not following the people of the state with this light source. Everywhere that you are going, and that's the whole point of my documentation, while you're looking at the light source remain over me during the day at my office, and then following to be over this same building where you see the moon in the evening setting, that is not the same thing, nor is that a shared experience that while it's stationary here, and it's clearly stationary, that's why I'm able to capture it hour after hour. That's how I'm able to give you a vivid illustration while I'm in motion on a bus in Fontana on Sierra Avenue, but yet it's stationary beside building 1810. The two are not the same, and it's an impossibility. That is speaking to, again, the impossible occurrence that the light source is in motion over everyone, no matter what direction you're going, no matter your location, for the duration of the day, while you're also trying to suggest that the state of Florida has the same one sun over them, the sun that's in constant movement, the sun that's a gaseous ball of fire, the sun that is not going to be hovering above us like you see this hovering over the buildings, while you see the police departments flying right next to it, flying literally through it. All right, that's not the sun. Okay, that's not the natural environment. We've been told about the sun. That's not, and that's what I mean by that. That's not the sun that we have learned about, that we've been told about. And so I want to make sure that I point this out. That was not just an iteration of the P.O.C. That's not just direct evidence to be used against the people. The obsessed group stalking demon-possessed population are monitoring with LAPD while they provide an ongoing body of evidence to that end. They are doing so in a specific environment. This is the ongoing documentation. The entity is placing the moon and the sun. This is what documentation, and remember, the entity started this yesterday, March 25th, 2024. Okay, I've been documenting on video. The entity started engaging in, and this is what the demon-possessed do. They provide more and more evidence, and that's to its own demise. There's nothing natural about the environment. The entity engages in both rising, setting the sun, and keeping the moon at nightfall. There is nothing that is a coincidence about that. There's nothing about stalking with directed light moving all across your person and all across building. There's nothing natural or realistic about that. The demon-possessed do more and more, revealing the reality of what it is that I'm telling you. So while you witness them do that, while you witness what is a cartoon environment, that's more like an animation by Universal Works, okay, by Disney. It's not the natural environment. But the entity provides more. So literally, this is how you are aware of the fact that what I'm telling you, I can't make it up. They're literally doing it. They're literally doing it in your face, and you're witnessing that. And it is equally specific to me while you see it over Alvarado Gardens. Yes, there are more than one person that lives at Alvarado Gardens, but they are not the targeted individual. The entity maintains the light source over me, while these group stalkers maintain presence all around me. The environment is for purposes of monitoring me. They're in the engineered light around me while they're maintaining obsessive presence. That is living, working, traveling, and remaining in relevant position, and engaging in behaviors that act to maintain that environment if I make any move based on whatever my activity is pursuant to that pattern of conduct, which is what demons are doing. Demons do that. Demons know what you're doing and occur with and create activity or make any movement or arrive out of the blue with simultaneity to what demons do that. Okay, that's the demon possession. That's supernatural behavior, and they want to appear on the outside as though they're normal. They're not. The light activity is not normal. The environment's not normal, and the behavior is not normal. It's demonic. So this is serving for what is ongoing documentation. That engineered light that you see on my wall right now, that's what I'm referencing. And I'm going to take still images so you can see the light activity that's surrounding me right now on these walls. I don't think that you can see it on video. I don't think it's picking it up. So I'm going to, here you go. Here's this one. This is my shadow, but it's appearing through the pattern of the blinds. Through the pattern of the blinds that are closed, the window is going up toward the ceiling. It's appearing up on the ceiling. That's impossible light activity. And it's got multiple shadows as well. There's more than one shadow. So let me see if you can pick that up. This is an everywhere engineer light. This is one shadow. And there's another shadow down here as well. I don't think that you can see that, but I'm going to take still images of it. That's the environment that remains 24/7 while the LAPD is stalking. That is indeed stalking in the engineered environment. That is indeed stalking with amplified audible activity. That is on its face. Even the one that's ignorant to the criminal elements of monitoring, to what is demonic activity, it's an unreasonable nuisance. I've got the entity is engaged in a pattern of creating an unreasonable nuisance, an unreasonable disturbance, while they are engaged in obsessive stalking. And they're doing it in what is also beyond a coincidence, which is, by the way, a pattern. And this is a pattern of capturing the demonic. My ability to capture the phenomenon over and over again is not a coincidence. It's beyond a coincidence. And it's all things that are outside of my control. I cannot place these light sources over me. And these light sources don't move and remain over everyone else. They remain over me, the targeted individual. Okay, while these demons go about their other whatever direction that they're going in, it doesn't remain over them. That's not what the sun does. You are looking at documentation, it remains over me all day long. What you're looking at is and that's direct evidence of it. You're witnessing the demonic while in Florida, for example, or you could even be at the Metro Courthouse, and they'll look up in the sky space and you'll see a light source in the sky. That's not the natural environment though. All right, and so that's the value of documentation. This is the demonic that's captured. All right, so understand the entity's stalking conduct with the environment is also prefaced with what is stalking behavior and harassment by the people of the state, but actually notably by the state. All right, but the entity starts harassing you. This is why you start documenting it, and you understand, you recognize stalking by the entity on a direct basis. That is through police, fire, and ambulance, and through planes and helicopters. The entity is stalking you, and then the entity is following with the whole environment. And then the entity is, you're recognizing what the people of the state are doing. All right. And those are the layers of federal group stalking and monitoring. You're putting all of that together. And like I said, while they are group stalking at 5:24 in the morning, the entity is in less than an hour from now going to create what is the light source, which you already know isn't the sun. Where you're looking at the moon this is the same exact location where the entity is setting the sun at the end of the day, rising it through my in alignment to my living room window, which is nowhere near visible, being anywhere at the intersection of Holt Boulevard and Euclid Avenue at all. That's the pattern of conduct. But you have, again, the entity maintaining that specific environment in Ontario as well, rising the sun, setting the sun, and keeping the moon at night. The entity is engaging in here, rising the sun, setting the sun, and keeping the moon at night. The entity is engaging in what is, and this is not visible from the Ontario Museum. This is not the same sky space. It's the same analysis. The sun is not remaining over you all day long. All right. The entity is stalking in that environment. So I just want to make sure that I've reiterate that. It's 5:57 a.m. This is P.O.C. on March 26, 2024. I was about to say 2022, excuse me, 2024. And the entity is going to engage in cycling. This is nothing other than engineered light. So in my next video, or you can reference what you saw yesterday, LAPD and the entity group stalking in commercial airline planes, and you see out the hillside, on the hillside, what's the color of amber orange as though the sun is rising. That is engineered light. That's light in the environment, and the demons are group stalking in the sky space. And there is no sun that is rising. That's the light source that, by the way, remained present and then was setting through my window, visible through my window setting. That would never be the natural environment, never is the sun. It remains for the duration of the day. It is direct evidence, which is what I'm speaking to. Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison. The entity, it speaks to what is going to happen to Stephanie Ortiz. She's going to federal prison. They engaged in criminal summoning while the system of federal group stalking and monitoring is underway, and that's the significance of seeing the sun rising and setting while I'm in Los Angeles, contrary to what I'm capturing when I'm in Ontario. That is not the same sky space. The two are impossible, mutually exclusive. It's the unnatural environment, and so they were monitoring me and then summoning that entity that's stalking me day and night in helicopters and in police vehicles, monitoring me, and this is what you're looking at. The specific environment is inside of my apartment while LAPD is stalking me, practicing satanic ritualistic methods of stalking. Okay, that is the sex offender that is engaged in that P.O.C. It's 5:59 a.m. and this is P.O.C. I'm going to take images of the engineered light that remains in my apartment as well, because it can't pick up on video for some reason. It's too dark. I will take images right now though. Pay attention to the timestamps. It's going to be immediately. P.O.C.